The next panelist we have is Agnes Kojc from Slovenia. She is a young woman with cerebral palsy herself, a translator, interpreter, writer, poet, and she also represents the European branch of ICPS in the Youth Committee of the European Disability Forum. Agnes.
So thank you, John, for having me here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I come from Slovenia, which is a small country in Central Europe. And we are, I would say, very behind in some areas. And that is the reason that I think the global report, is a crucial stepping stone which can we take to move forward. Because when I was born back in 1996, people didn't know what cerebral palsy actually was. My generation of classmates and my colleagues were actually the first one that came into regular school, that started to attend events, and that actually was having this active participation in social life as well. So I'm always glad and very grateful to see that movement is happening. And I could also relate with each action area, but in particular, I could feel our situation, our Slovenian situation in action area number 2. Why is that? Simply because we know that many words are spoken about inclusion, about the improvement of well-being or healthcare services, but all this is not very important or possible to realize if institutional commitment and especially financial commitment are not considered. Slovenia is one of the countries that has, I would say, quite developed healthcare system. We are very grateful that majority of services are free of charge. But when it comes to people with disabilities, any kind of disability for that matter, but especially with person with cerebral palsy, there comes an issue. Because I would say that our policymakers and the leaders of such organizations do not recognize the reality of our needs. They know our needs in theory, they know our needs on paper, so to speak, but when it comes to actually putting them into practice and make them a reality, they freeze. And my situation is that now when I'm 28 years old, I don't have any free access to physiotherapist anymore, because I was entitled to intensive physiotherapy only when I was a child, by my 18 years of age. So when I became officially an adult, the situation drastically, I would say it got worse, because I don't have the resources, and many of my colleagues don't have the resources to stay physically active, because our health insurance do not cover additional costs of therapies, for example, in hospitals or healthcare centers, and we have to pay it all by ourselves. And these private practices are very expensive, and not many of us can afford it. And this is where I see the commitment on all levels is necessary, because when we suggest something, when we suggest some changes, Such was the example of our manifesto when we represented it in Brussels last year with CP-ECA. I talked to our political representative in parliament, but I don't know if our efforts will be heard, because now that policymakers don't want to for them to happen, but it gets stuck at the level of health organization and other mechanisms. And that is why I support the idea of establishing the monitoring mechanisms as well, because it would provide some sort of control of where the money is actually put and invested into. And another problem that it is happening in Slovenia is that we have very limited access to assistive technology market, because we are not always familiarized with all the novelties and progress that is happening on the market, and we also don't get in touch with all the changes. And I should say that assistive technology in Slovenia is very expensive, and also we do not get everything what we need free of charge. I think that no wheelchair or scooter or framework is actually, it cannot be prescribed anymore for people that are not active in school or in society. We always have to wait every 5 years to get a new wheelchair and to get, I don't know, maybe some sort of rehabilitation retreat. This is not something that would be fluent, so that we could get it every year, because we need it every year, especially myself. I have a very sedentary lifestyle because of my work and other responsibilities, and I would say that I miss more active movement. I would say that it is important that health centers and hospitals also recognize that we still need treatment after we grow up, if I should say so, because our physical abilities need constant monitoring. And in Slovenia, often happens that you tend to be overlooked by doctors, by other officials, and you don't get any special treatment after you're 18, not with any kind of medication or physical therapies, not with anything. And that is why I found the second area of interest so important, because I think if we come together and straighten these mechanisms and maybe create some effective system of financing and the monitoring of this financing, we can make a significant change in that area. But of course, we should be careful that we are not too idealistic, because, as I said before, it's when it comes to putting words into practice, things usually get complicated. So, well, I hope the report will help and encourage policymakers and other experts to make the step forward. So, thank you.